Hey guys, this is Techo Freak. Welcome to episode 1 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. I'm so excited to be able to say those words. It's been over 7 years since I started my original Amnesia custom story tutorial for the original Amnesia, and I'm excited to bring you guys a tutorial series for Amnesia Rebirth. It's going to be a lot of fun, and let's go ahead and get started here. So we'll need a few downloads first. We're going to need 3 things. We're going to need an application called CodeLight. This is going to be our where we're going to be doing most of our scripting for the game. Next is going to be the color theme for CodeLight for HPL3. That's the scripting language we're going to be using, and it just adds colors and highlightings for their specific scripting language. And then we're gonna need a minimal custom maps mod. This is a custom story map made by the developers Frictional Games, and this is just kind of like an example map that kind of shows you the initial setup of the mod, and we're gonna use that just to easily create our custom story today. So you can go ahead and just click on these and download them, but I created a file already. I will link it in the description. This has everything we're going to need for setting up our environment today. If you don't feel comfortable using my own downloads, then just feel free to get these 3 downloads from their website. That's no problem. As a note, this one right here, I'll open it up here. CodeLight, they recommend using version 12.0.0. Apparently this application is what the Frictional Game developers use themselves. We'll be using it. It's in my pack here, but they recommend specifically version 12.0.0, which is all the way down here. You'll have to scroll. It's right here. If you have a 64-bit version of like Windows, you should download this one. If you have a 32-bit version, you should download this one. If you're using Linux, you can download this one, but we'll be using Windows in this tutorial. If you feel comfortable using Linux, then feel free to do so. So with that out of the way, I have here in my documents folder that download. We're gonna go ahead and right click it. If you will need 7-zip to extract this. So if you don't already have 7-zip, you might want to install it, or any other application that can open up 7-zip files. If you don't know what a 7-zip file, it's pretty much just like a zip file or a RAR file, but it's specifically for the 7-zip application. So let's go ahead and right click that, do 7-zip, and we'll do extract to Amnesia RE tools. And I have it already extracted here, as you can see here. And we're under the CodeLight folder. There's the installers that we need. So again, if you have a 64-bit version of Windows, use that one. If you have a 32-bit version, you use this one. So I have a 64-bit version of Windows, so we will be extracting the 64-bit version, and I have it. We'll extract it the same way. You right-click it, 7-zip, extract to this, and we will just be hopping in here, and we'll be running the application now. So go ahead and start the installer. So this is kind of what it looks like. So we'll hit next here. So an important note here, the developers recommend that you install this application on the same drive that that Amnesia is installed in. So I have mine. I have 2 drives. I have my main drive, my C drive, and I have an extra drive called the D drive. My game is actually installed in my D drive, so I will install this application in my D drive. So let me select my D drive. Alright, I've selected my D drive here, and I'm just going to install it in the default directory here that it recommends. We'll hit next, we'll hit next again, and then we'll hit install, and now it's going to go ahead and install. And then we're going to go ahead and hit launch. So now it's going to launch. It's going to take a second to launch for the first time. Again, this is I would have loved to use Notepad, but this is what developers recommend, and there is a legitimate reason for that. The application is open now, so it's gonna go through a setup wizard here. We will go ahead and just do the setup wizard. We'll hit next. Leave the default here. These settings don't matter too much. Don't set up any compilers, so just hit next. Now select the color scheme. I'm gonna pick Oblivion because I feel like that one looks the nicest. We'll hit next. We'll leave the default and we'll hit finish. So now here's the application itself. So we're gonna do some setup here for this application. The application will help us compared to Amnesia. There are a ton of functions for this newer version of Amnesia, the Amnesia Rebirth game, and we will like to use this application just to reference them. Makes things a lot easier. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go to code completion here. We're gonna configure this a bit better for our usage here. So in the additional file extensions to parse, we're gonna add a few things at the end here. So let's go to the very end of this line here. We're gonna add a semicolon here, and then we're gonna do star.hps. We're gonna do another semicolon. We're gonna do star, and then we're gonna do .lang. And then we're gonna do semicolon again. We're gonna do star, and then we're gonna do .cfg. Then we'll do semicolon again, star, .hpc. And all we're doing here is we want the program to recognize these 4 files here. HPS is going to be the scripting file that we're going to be using. Lang is just our lang files that we're going to be modifying. Our config files that we're going to be modifying, and our HPC file that we're going to be modifying. So we were going to be modifying these kinds of files, so we want to just make sure that the program can open these properly. So next, we're going to check these 2 boxes here: keep function signature unformatted and reparse. Make sure those both are selected. We're going to go to coloring now. You're going to make sure that apply context aware coloring is checked. It is by default, but just in case it isn't, just make sure that's checked. Now we're going to go under C tags, and we're going to hit add here. So now we're going to add the script file for Amnesia. So you're going to need to go to your root directory for Amnesia Rebirth and select the script folder. So if in case you don't know how to get here, I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to bring my Steam over a little bit here. So you're going to right click on Amnesia Rebirth in your library, and you go manage and browse local files, and it should take you right to the root directory. This is of course if you got it through Steam. If you didn't get it through Steam, you just have to know where you install the game and make sure you select it from there. So here's my root directory. So we're already there. So we're gonna go down and select the script folder, and then we're gonna go ahead and hit select folder. So you should see this line right here in your box right here, and that should be all we need to do here. And we're gonna hit OK. Now we're gonna go to settings again, and we're gonna go colors and fonts. This is where we're gonna import those that zip file that has the colors that we downloaded. So we're gonna click on this file, this little icon right here. This is import settings from a zip archive, and it was in our documents folder, and it was under our little package thing that I provided with you guys, or wherever you just go to wherever you downloaded it. And it's code light color settings. So select that and hit open, and just go ahead and hit yes to override, and then we'll hit OK. Alright, so that part's done. So that's all the setting stuff with the program that we need to do for the meantime. So we're gonna set up our workspace now. So we're gonna go to the workspace here, or we're gonna click right here on new workspace. Let's create a new workspace. Just hit OK here. And under workspace name, we're not going to call this our mod name. This is just going to be underscore source, so underscore src, and then we're going to change the workspace path. We want to put this in the root directory of Amnesia, so I'm going to pull the folder that we have here with Amnesia open. We're going to copy that path to our game here, and we're going to paste it right here. And we'll make sure that Amnesia Rebirth is the folder we have here. We'll just hit yes to continue anyways. And make sure this is checked to create the workspace under a separate directory, and hit OK. So now it's going to go ahead and create our workspace, and you'll see it here. It's _source. And so now we're going to actually set up our environment here. As a note, I'm going to be doing this kind of the way that I want to have it set up, and the way I'm going to be following this tutorial with. And somebody else might set up a different way. Some people have different preferences. This is how I want to set it up to make it convenient for us to work on our mod as a tutorial series, and as just a convenience. So this is how we will set it up. Of course, if you are a bit more knowledgeable about this kind of stuff, you can feel free to mess around with this yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to right click here, and we're going to do new, and we're going to do project. We're going to go under others, and we're going to select non-code project and hit next. So now for the project name, this will be the name of your mod. So I'm going to call it The Wake. If you guys seen my original tutorial series that I made over 7 years ago, this was the name of the custom store we made. So I thought as a nice kind of like throwback to those days, we'll go ahead and name it The Wake, and we'll call this custom story The Wake. So just we'll click here on this browse for folder. We want to make this, we want to go to the Amnesia Rebirth root directory, and we want to make a mod directory here. So we'll right click, we'll hit new, folder, and we'll call it mods, and hit enter. And now make sure that we have that mods folder selected. So you should see mods here. Hit select folder, because that's where we want to save our mod. And make sure you have this check put here. We do want it to create another folder. So make sure that's checked, and let's hit next. And just leave the default here and hit finish. So now we have our folder here under our workspace called The Wake. Now we're going to go ahead and right click on that folder. We're going to hit new virtual folder. And we're going to call this one _API. Make sure this is not checked. It should not be checked, and hit OK. And then we'll right click on this one, and we'll do add existing file. And we're going to go to the root directory of Amnesia, and we will scroll down until we get to hps_api.hps. So we'll click on that, we'll hit open, and we'll make sure we have that has references that we're going to need. That's done, so we don't need to do anything there. Next, we're going to click here on the project folder, right click it, and we're going to hit import files from directory. And now we are going to hit the dots here. We're going to go to the root directory of Amnesia again here, and we're going to hit select folder. Now you should see all the folders that are in the root directory. We want to select a couple of these. We want to select the maps folder, and we want to select the script folder here. So these two files right there. So those two right there. And just to double check, make sure, go to the end of this here, and make sure that at the end of this here, you see the 4 that we added earlier when we did our settings setup, HPS, Lang, CFG, and HPC. And make sure this is not checked, and we'll hit OK. And you should see it starts adding some stuff. If we hit the drop down here in our project folder, we'll see those two folders that we just added, the maps and the scripts. So the maps file here has all the maps from the original game. So these will be good references to see some of their code. But what we're going to do is we're going to right click it, and we're going to hit rename, and we're going to call it original _maps, just to kind of give it a different name, because we're also going to have our own maps folder, and we don't want them overlapping. So we will call this original maps. Don't worry, this will not rename the map folder in your root directory of Amnesia Rebirth. It's just for our development environment. It's just the name that we're going to see, and we just want to kind of make it distinct. So let's put that there. All right, so now we're gonna head out of this, and we're gonna do some setup outside of here. So we're gonna go to our mods folder here in our root directory that we just made. You should see that we have now a The Wake folder, which is our mod name, and this is just the project that we have set up here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to that file that we downloaded. In here, the minimal custom maps mod. This is again the like sample custom story provided by the developers. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up, and we're gonna copy the contents of that custom story into our custom store here. So all of that. So you should have this in your folder now: config, maps, entry.hpc, launcher pick, and resources. And then we can go ahead and close this now. So we're done with things that we need from that we downloaded. So we pretty much have that all. So now we're gonna do a few setup things here. So first thing we want to do, let's go back to our root Amnesia folder, and we're gonna go to scroll down, and we're gonna go to level editor. So you see that's right here, and we're gonna go ahead and double click it to run it, and it's gonna go ahead and open up. I'm gonna bring it over to this screen here. If you follow my last series, or you did some Amnesia custom story creation, you should recognize this. It's very similar. We have a bunch of new fancier buttons here too, but just make sure it opens. The reason we need to open it is because it's going to create a file in your documents folder that we're going to need to go to and make a change in. So just make sure you run it. Let's head back into our mods folder now, get into the Wake again, our mod name, and we're going to create a new file here. So we're going to right click, we'll do new, and we'll go text document. So we're going to call this text document look up DIRs, short for directories, and we're gonna hit enter. Now we're gonna go ahead and open this file, and we're going to paste something in here. So I will put a paste bin in the description, and you should go ahead and just copy these lines here. It's called directories, and then there's a few categories in here. So this is pretty much going to point to some of our custom assets that we have. We don't have any right now, but down the line we might have to. This is for your level editor to be able to find those custom assets. It consists of static objects, entities, billboards, particles, and sounds. So let's go ahead and save that. We'll do file, and we'll do save as. And now we're going to change the save type to all files. Now for the file name, we want to change that, or we don't want to change it. We just want to add .cfg to the end of that. So it's going to be lookupdirs.cfg. Go ahead and hit save. You want to make sure it's saved in your custom story folder. So now that we hit save, we should have this new file here called lookupdirs. That's a CFG file. We can go ahead and delete the text document now. We don't need that. So now we need to create those same directories. So let's open up this file again. And we're going to need to create these directories here. So they're under, we should put them under assets and then those same names. So let's create a new folder in our custom story here. We're going to call it assets. And we're going to go inside of there. And we're going to create a folder for every single one there. We'll do static objects. And then we'll do the next one, folder. And do entities. And then we'll do another, do billboards, and now we'll do another one here. We'll do particles, and then the last one, folder, and then we're going to do sounds. So make sure these names match properly to these here. If you did want to put these somewhere else, you could do so. We're just telling, again, the level editor where it can find these custom assets. So if you were doing, like, let's say a full conversion mod and you were adding your own entities and particles, you know, here's where you would put these for the level editor find. So we're just doing this preemptively for when we eventually do something with them. So you can close this now. Now we're gonna go ahead and go to our documents folder, So I mentioned that when you run the level editor, it creates a new folder, and here it is, HPL3. So we're gonna go to HPL3 again in your documents folder, and now we're gonna create a new file in here. We're gonna do new. We're gonna do text document, and we're gonna call it this time WIP mod, short for work in progress mod. And go ahead and hit enter, and we're gonna open this up. And now another line we're gonna paste here. This is again in my in the pastebin. I'm gonna include in the description. And here it is. I will replace this here with something like, you know, your mod or something like that, path or something like that. We will. You should clear this out and put the directory to your path, to your mod. So ours clearly is right here, and we want it to point specifically to the entry.hpc file right here. So make sure you have that at the end there. So it should look something like this, and we're gonna go ahead and hit save here, and we'll go ahead and close that now. Or sorry, let's open it up again. We have to save it as a config file just like the last one. So we'll do save as. We will hit all files, and we will add the .cfg to the end of this name here. And now we can close it. And now we can delete this text file and just leave the CFG file there that we made. And now let's go back to the root directory of Amnesia. We're gonna run the level editor again. And the reason we're doing this is because when you add this to the file, if you messed up the name or something, the level editor will give you an error. So if it runs properly, here it is, then that means we set it up properly. We can move on. So we won't be using this anymore for the remainder of the video. We will do that in a future video, but for now, just make sure that it opens up after you made these changes. All right, so now that we have our mod folder set up with like the sample custom story stuff from the developers, we're gonna go ahead and go back to our development environment here, and now we're gonna right click on our project folder, and we're gonna hit import files from directory. Now we want to make sure we are in our custom story folder. Should be Amnesia Rebirth mods of the wake. Make sure we are in this folder here, and you're gonna see your assets, config, and maps folder that's inside of your custom story folder. So check the box right here and make sure everything there is selected. And again, just double check to make sure you see those 4 here. You definitely don't want to miss those, or else it's not going to import a few of your files. So select everything there, and then we're going to hit OK. Now if we hit the drop down, we're going to see our config folder, we're going to see our script, we're going to see our the wake folder, and we're going to see our maps folder here. So now the next thing we want to do is we're going to configure our scripting environment here to automatically run Amnesia for us. So the way we do that is by right clicking here on this on your project folder and going to settings. Now when you're in here, you want to go to customize and then custom build, and you want to check this enable custom build. We want to hit the dots here to browse, and we're going to select the root directory of Amnesia Rebirth, and we're going to hit select folder. Next, we're going to open up this build section here by double clicking right here, and we're going to paste in a command here. This is going to be in the paste bin again, and I'm going to go ahead and copy it and paste it here for you to see. So important notes here. This I will probably have replaced with like your mod name or something like that. So you should clear this out and enter your own mod. This is mine is called The Wake. This should match the exact name of the folder that you made here, the project folder here, The Wake. So make sure that matches identically, or else you might have problems. And what this command pretty much does, it runs the Amnesia Rebirth game in developer mode, and it specifically will load up the mod called The Wake, meaning that it will just open up our mod right away, and we can start testing and everything. So let's hit OK now. It should populate right here, and we can just hit OK right here. Now we have that configured. Now it's going to parse the workspace here. You should see it start moving, and it's just getting everything ready for us. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and give it a test run, and I will make a note. I will make a mention about something. So the way you run it first, we're going to do a first build. That's going to be, you're going to hit F7 on your keyboard to build it. So F7, so you can see it built down here. And now if you hit it one more time, the game should run. I'm going to hit it again. And if you bought your game on Steam, you will get this message on your Steam saying that Amnesia Rebirth is attempting to launch with the optional parameters. And it shows you the parameters it's running. So we will get rid of this message. I will show you how to get rid of this message later on. This is an annoying message that you have to hit OK to every time you want to run the game. So I will show you how we can circumvent this message. For now, we're just going to hit OK and our game should run. So we'll hit OK, and I'll switch you guys so you guys can see. Here it is. So you should be seeing the game now, and it should load in any moment now. Alright, here we are. So this is the sample map that's provided by the developers. So obviously there's not much going on here, just the message displayed on screen. We can see ourselves, and we can, you know, run around and jump and stuff. So it's good. And if you see all those words on the left side and numbers going by, that's the dev part of the execution. It shows you a bunch of relevant information that you might want to know. It helps when you're developing your mod and stuff like that, and it lets you get your game, you know, your custom story developed real nice. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and hit exit here. Before that, I do want to show you. I'm gonna run here. I'm gonna do something later on that I want you guys to take note of. So notice I am running here, and we'll get back to that later. So we're gonna hit exit here. We're gonna hit yes. So let's bring you back over here to our development environment. So it ran. So now to change it to make it not come up with the Steam message, let's go right back into this projects folder by right clicking it and hit settings. And we're going to change this build command again, and we're going to put _no Steam. Again, this only applies if you bought your game on Steam. If you bought it some other way, that you probably don't need to do this. But if you got it on Steam, just to avoid that message, change this to _no Steam and hit OK. And I hit OK again. And just to kind of show you why we do that, if we go to the root directory of our Amnesia, you will see if you scroll down, there's two ways to launch the game: the original and the no Steam. So it's pretty self-explanatory. It runs it without launching through Steam. So that's why we do that. So all right, so now let's go ahead and minimize this, and now we're going to change some of the files in the sample custom story that we got from the developers. So if we drop down here in your mod name, you will see the entry HPC files along with that lookup there's file that we made. So we're going to go ahead and open up that entry.hpc file. And what we're going to do here is change some of the things here. So the title here, this is the info that's pretty much going to be in the when you launch the game and you go under the custom story section, you will see your custom story there. It will provide a title, a description, and a picture of your custom story. So to the right of title, change this, and you want to change this to whatever the title of your custom story is. I'm going to give it a proper title. I'm going to capitalize it and everything, and I'm going to call it The Wake. For the author, let's put my name here, Tackle Freak. And then for the description, we'll change this, and we will set this to be custom description. So let's say custom story made from my tutorial series, something simple. And then for the launcher pick, so this is the picture that's going to show up when the player selects your custom story. So to show you where that is, let's go to the mods folder, and go under our custom story. So that's this picture right here. So we open it, you can see it's just a very basic photo that they included. So you can change this to be whatever you want to put there. And if you save it with a different name, you just change it here as well. I'm just gonna leave this default one, but you can feel free to change that yourself. And now this config, main init config, let's go to that file now. So let's save this again by hitting Control S, or you can do File Save. So this is under config and then main init.cfg. So let's go under there, and then you'll see it right here, main init.cfg. So we'll double click it. So this has some other information we want to change. So this is the configuration that the game is going to run with when it starts up. So the save folder is where the name of the folder that is going to be made when the player saves their game. So we're just going to give this a proper name, call it the Wake with a capital and everything. We'll talk about this in a second, but this just points to lang file right in here in your config lang folder. We'll check that in a second. Game name, again, we'll just change this to a proper name here. I'll call it the Wake. So start map, this is the map that we want the game to start on when you load up the custom story for the first time. So they call it sample map. For now, we'll leave this. When we start doing some level editing, we will make some changes. But for now, we don't need to make any changes. The wherever that map file is, you have to make sure you point to where that folder is. So it's under the maps folder. You'll see that sample map. So we don't have to change that. And then this is wherever the player is going to spawn on when the game starts. So the developers called their start area player start area 1. We probably will change this when we get more into it, but for now, just leave that as default. We don't have to change that right now. Let's go ahead and save this file. And now let's go ahead and go to this config lang file here. It should be called english.lang. This pretty much just houses all the text that you're going to display to the player throughout the game. So if you did custom stories for the original Amnesia, you'll probably recognize this file. Pretty much like in that demonstration that I made, that when I started the game, you saw the demo. It showed like a message in the screen. So this is exactly where that message was stored. So we will be using this to display messages to the player and stuff. So now we don't need to do anything. We just showing you guys what this is, and that's pretty much it for the dev environment here. I do want to make sure that you guys have your environment set up properly. So to do that, we're gonna go under the maps folder here and under sample map, and we're going to open up the samplemap.hps file. If you did custom stories for the original Amnesia, you'll recognize this. This is the script file that goes along with the map, and you recognize some of these functions too: void setup, void on start, void on enter, void on leave. They should be very familiar. But we're not going to do anything crazy here. We're just going to test to make sure our environment's set up properly. So we're going to open up right here, and we're going to type in player. And when you do that, you should see a bunch of functions start coming up here. These are like things you can do in the game. So this is how we're going to make our custom story down the line. We're going to combine these functions to get something done that we want to do. So for now, we don't really need to worry too much about this. We will test the command here just to make sure everything's working properly. So we'll do player, and then we'll do set, and then we'll do can. We'll do this function right here, specifically player set can run. We pretty much want it to set it. We want to set it so that the player can't run. So we'll change this to false. We'll add false there, and make sure you close it out with a semicolon at the end, just like these right here. And we need to import the player, pretty much the player script. So we want to come up here, hit enter. We want to say include, and then in here we're going to put quotations, and we're going to type in player, and you should see it come up right away. Again, if your environment's set up properly, these things should automatically populate. We're gonna hit player.hps, and now we're gonna go ahead and hit save on this one, and we're gonna test to make sure that these functions are properly being read by the game. And at the same time, we're going to test that no Steam thing that I mentioned. So let's go ahead and execute the game now. Again, we're going to hit F7. And we should have a no Steam message, and we didn't. Let me switch you guys to the game here. So no Steam message. It just started up the game right away. And let's get loaded in. And here we are again. So now, the thing I wanted to show you guys, so I'm going to hold shift now to run, and you'll notice I can't run. So that means we executed that function properly, we got no error when the game started up, so we're all set up properly. It auto-filled and everything, and as you can see, I'm spamming the shift button and we're not running here. So we're all set up, guys. We're going to hit escape here, and that's pretty much it for episode 1. I know there was a lot of setup stuff. Definitely way more than the original Amnesia game. But we're all set up now. I can't wait to start doing some fun things in the future episodes. So, you know, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Hit a like on this video. We'll get some more tutorial series up. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Have a good day.